Silent Hill has one of the most iconic video game soundtracks of all time. The most fascinating part is that for the most of the soundtrack and sound design in first games, they were done by one person, Akira Yamaoka. His soundtrack is not only iconic but truly influential. His ideas and techniques can be seen in bigger AAA titles and in a lot of indie games. Layering SFX, unsettling sounds, using acoustic instruments and mixing them with deep and atmospheric synths and pads, now it's all an industry standard, but not in 1999. So this video is about iconic sound of the first Silent Hill games, to be specific about ambient and how you can recreate it or try coming close to original sound of this legendary franchise. Let's start with the beating heart of any track, writing chords. There are a couple of ways Akira approaches writing them. Let's start simple and take a look at the chords in the Promise reprise track. G will be the pedal note of this chord, setting the mood of the track. Notes D, D sharp and E, changing only one semitone at the time, going up and down. It builds this static, unnerving bass of a track, conveying uncertainty and caution. On top of these chords will be added a melody, which is much brighter and hopeful. It's written in D minor scale and plays off the bass notes of the chord progression. This contrast makes a track more solid. Chords in White Noiz track are one of the most distinct Silent Hill chords you can imagine. In the intro you can hear these chords. On the bass we have a simple repeating D minor triad, and then the same D minor triad on the octave above, also adding A minor triad for more movement and variation. In the main part of the track it gets more interesting. It seems too much, but can be broken down easily. At first we have a simple 4-bar chord progression: F minor, G sharp minor, C minor and D sharp minor. And now on top of these chords we add another layer of chords. You duplicate a bass note of every triad 2 times, 1 octave higher and 2 octaves higher, and then just fill the space between these 2 notes with 2 additional notes. This makes this chord sound rich and almost overwhelming, putting more pressure on a listener. Or you can go with no chords and fully rely on synth or a pad, like in this iconic track. This melody is written in A minor, having a lot of space between each note, and it also gives listeners some time to process each note, especially with BPM as low as 70. But the magic hides behind synth, of course. So I tried to recreate this sound using Serum, but you can use Vital or any synth you want, just following the same principles. The first oscillator is an analog sine, 12 unison levels, random knob all the way to 0, and lower detuning. Second sine is BS2 acid, also 12 unison levels, and other options are pretty similar to the first oscillator. Only this one is 1 octave above. Also change the fine options on both of the oscillators to give this uneasy touch to the sound. Filtering both oscillators with the low 18 filter preset, and the envelope has a slight attack delay somewhere from 35 to 50 milliseconds. In FX I only added dimension for width, adding some stock delay on the fade option, adding magic switch chorus for some brightness, and of course favorite supermassive on the dirty snare preset, and it will give you this sound. Another plugin I would advise you to try is using Ableton's grain delay and pitching sound down like 12 semitones, just giving another flavor to your sound. And as we were talking about pads, let's go back and talk about track promise once again. Almost in every music piece you hear in Silent Hill, you will hear some kind of a pad in the background. In this case, pad deeply from the synth Tyrell N6 with additional reverb. These hits just add another layer of depth to the sound. In the white noise track, pads are the main instruments. So in the intro I used a regular Lap's piano with some additional reverb and added a pad layer underneath. This one is made in Vital. This one is pretty straightforward too, and I think it's somewhat accurate. Here you can have 3 oscillators, all of them using different sine waves, but no triangle or square shapes. These have much less aggressive sound. 10, 6 and 9, different levels of unison on them, a pad shape with a long attack and long release on the envelope. In the effects I just added some reverb on top and a phaser, which I connected to LFO for additional movement of the pad. Adding some saturation, erosion, to add some noise in the middle, and EQing just a bit, and that's how it sounds. Another trick I wanted to share with you is using a specific plugin for generating a random pad sound. I'm talking about a plugin Pendulate, which is a free version of a plugin generated by Newfangled Audio. This plugin has this button, which is random, which will obviously randomize a sound and generate something unique for you. I got something like this and used it as a pad layer. In the main part of white noise I also added another pad layer. This one is from Tyrell N6 once again, dark pad from Doc Am collection, adding some Tal Chorus LX, Chorus Ensemble from Ableton for a flanger-like effect, and heavily EQing lows and highs, adding some smearing reverb on top, and hear how it sounds. In Akira's music, besides pads and synths, you can hear a lot of pianos and acoustic guitars. For example, in this recreation of Not Tomorrow track, the main instrument is muffled acoustic guitar in the background. This simple melody in G minor scale works as a base for the track, adding another layer of smeared guitar underneath to fill out the mix. And then adding a piano melody on top. This Neo piano plugin from SoundMagic is also free and a great alternative to Lap's piano. Another distinct feature in Yamaoka's music is his drums. They're usually tucked underneath the mix and don't play the main role in the track, but definitely add a necessary rhythm to the mix. Drums are muffled and distorted, like you hear them from another room or from a distance. In this case I used a simple drum break, to which I added a Soundly Placeit plugin, to add this effect of drums being played from the phone speakers. EQing kicks a bit and amping up the high end of a break, and hear how it sounds. Adding some atmosphere and SFX can also tremendously elevate your sound. For example, adding a simple rain sound on the background or a simple white noise can fill the mix and add another layer of depth to your track. Another way of adding flavor is using SFX synths, like Merismator for example. This one also has a random button, which can create unique and weird layers that sit especially well in the horror soundtracks. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video and these tips. Write what you think in the comments, and definitely write down which is your favorite piece of music from Silent Hill series. Thank you for watching, keep making your own sound, and bye!